Hey everyone, Walt here. Welcome to my very first album review. I am so excited to be here finally reviewing an album. I spent so much time to try to figure out, like, oh, what album do I want to review? And this one just so happened to fall in my lap at just the right time. We are reviewing today for our very first ever album. AJR's latest release, The Maybe Man. The Maybe Man is the fifth studio album by American pop band AJR. It was released on November 10th, 2023, and it is the band's first album released under their deal with Mercury Records. The album is 44 minutes and 12 seconds long, and it was produced by group member Ryan Metzger. He is the R in AJR. This album means a lot to me in the sense that this is the first album that I ever got to see be released. And what I mean by that is all of my favorite artists are all people who are dead. I love all the essential. Queen, Nirvana, Beatles, Metallica. I love Billie Holiday, Motorhead, Michael Jackson, so on and so forth. All of those people are either dead or one of their members is dead and they're kind of disbanded. I mean, I know Metallica just released the 72 Seasons album last year, but I wasn't there for the release of that album. And so, since I was here for AJR, I was here from when they announced the album all the way through, and so that was a really cool thing to get to see. I have a lot of thoughts on this album. So putting that kind of cool kind of cool thing of, oh, this is the first album I ever got to see released, I have a lot of thoughts on this. And I'm going to kind of divide this up into a good, bad, and then an individual song ranking, so that I can go through my least favorite to what I think is the best song on the album, or just what I think is the worst song or the weakest to the best, whichever one, you get it. So at least I hope you do. I don't know. If you don't, let me know. I'll help. We can sit down. We can schedule one-on-one. I can help you, If I have to get charts and graphs, I can. Anyway, let's get started. So, the good stuff in this album. There's a lot of good stuff. I'm going to just say this flat out, just to begin. This is the best AJR release to date. I mean, it is their best album that they have ever released. And I'm not just saying that because I got to see it, get released and I'm super excited. No, this really is their best album that they have released. Mainly because with every album that they have released up to this point, every single one that I have listened to, which is all of them, I have had some sort of gripe or problem with it. There's always been something that I think doesn't fit. Not even that I think doesn't fit, that I know doesn't fit. That isn't a good song, that I don't like, that just isn't good. Something that just isn't, connecting properly for the rest of the album. And on this album, out of all 12 of the songs, they all fit. They all fit the overarching theme, they all fit the overarching... They just fit. They all fit. They all work together as a nice album to listen to from start to beginning. Not just cherry-picking random songs. You could just sit down and listen to this album from start to end and it be an enjoyable experience. So yeah, that's the first thing. Second thing is its production. Its production has just increased. The producer of this album, like I said, is Ryan Met, and I just love his producing. The way he just takes really random and just sort of strange sounds and turns them into just these absolutely awesome, just, you never really know what the crap you're gonna hear. Some say it sounds like circus music, which I get that. I can get how some of it does sound like circus music. But it's always unique. If there's one thing you have to admit, no matter if you like this song or not, there's always something kind of interesting going on, especially if you end up watching one of their breakdowns of how the song was made and what they made to make the song. There's so many different layers and sounds going on at all times. And very rarely is there an AJR song where there just isn't a lot of just stuff happening. There isn't all kinds of new sounds. I mean, really you can recognize just about any one individual AJR song. Of course, it's if you spend enough time listening to their music to get fully acquainted with it. But once you kind of do a bit, you really can kind of recognize any one of their songs because they're so unique and like they're just so different from one another every single time. Of course, they have their own special, not special, but traits. Like they love lots of trumpets and violins and strings and crap ton of reverb and I don't know, sampling the most random crap you possibly could or writing songs about losing your socks. You know, all they have their traits, but it's always interesting and always fun. Third thing I love about this album is the lyrics. This is definitely their best album lyrically. If there's one thing I love about AJR, it's their lyrics. And and it's funny, I see this a lot. The same things that people love AJR for is also the same stuff that people hate about them. I love their lyrics because they write about such specific stuff. Like really, really, really specific stuff. Stuff that most people don't write about. Like they do, but they're just not as like flat out about it as they are. Like they'll just flat out say stuff to a pretty uncomfortable degree. Take the pre-chorus and Turning Out Part 3. Very interesting statement that they make about anyway. They're just very upfront about it, about not knowing who they are and what do you want to do. And that's something I've kind of felt where I'm like, what am I going to do? Everyone's kind of grown up, everyone's going to be in this, and like, what am I going to do? Because you only get one life, and that's something that kind of I've thought about. Like, you only really get this one shot, one chance. There's no tixie-backsies, And that's just something that they touch on this album, and a lot of emotion and just a lot of great stuff. And so their lyrics are just really, really wonderful. For example, one of their songs, God Is Really Real, has probably one of the most hard-hitting lyrics, at least for me, that I've thought about. Was one of the lyrics is, this kind of thing happens to other people's dads, it don't happen to mine. And what they're talking about here is the fact that that song is about their father who, at this point, has passed away. And their dad was sick. And that's what it was about. And that just kind of made me think when I heard that lyric. I was like, wow, that is kind of how I feel. Bad things happen to other people's parents. They don't happen to mine. Sure, my parents get sick or have something like this happen, of course. But losing them, I've never not had them. I've never not had my mother and my father. So what I'm kind of getting at is that I've never felt that. I've never felt what it's like to not have them. And so whenever I hear about bad things happening to other people's parents, it's kind of like those kind of things happen to other people's parents. It doesn't happen to me, but one day it is, and that's going to really suck. And it's going to suck really badly. And I'm not looking forward to that day. And so that line just kind of hit hard. So that's just a bit of an example of one. I could go into it a lot more, but I've tried recording this 90,000 times, and I do go into it a lot more, and it just, you guys don't want to be here for a 40-minute long review. We're not doing that, no. So, yeah. In summary, their best album yet, because there's no songs on here to really take away or that don't fit on the album. Amazing production, and amazing lyrics. So, yeah. Now let's go on to the bad stuff. So as I was talking about a second ago, this really is their best album. And I don't have that many gripes with it. I really don't. And so this is a bit of a good thing, actually. The fact that with this album's not a perfect 10 out of 10. No. But most of the things that I dislike about this album aren't really big things. Like, the things for the good stuff that I mentioned were all pretty big things, like their lyrics, or the production, or just overall listening to it as an album. But in terms of bad stuff, I really don't have that much to say. Little nitpickings here and there, mainly, like in the song Touchy Feely Fool. I don't like this sort of weird kids choir that isn't actually a kids choir, but them mixing their voices up and then behind the strings. I think it would have been better if they just used the strings. Or with the song Yes, I'm a Mess, I wish they hadn't teased it so much for a song that stays the same the entire way through until there's a pitch change at the end. Or with the cursing and like basically all of the songs, especially in God Is Really Real. I don't like the cursing. Little nitpicks, not huge things though. These aren't giant overall things. Like, are these still definitely things, or things I don't like about the album? Yeah, but like, you get the point. They're not as big as like saying overall like production or lyrics or that. So that's actually a good thing. I really thought about it, and I just don't have that much else to say regarding that. So let's move on to the individual track ranking. Whatever, bro. Just end there. Alright, it is now time for the track ratings, going from what I think is the weakest to the strongest or the best on the album, however you would like to put it, I don't know. Followed by, an official album, ranking out of 10, and a closing. So at number 12, we have Hole in the Bottom of My Brain. This is a very good song. Okay, like I said, I don't hate any of the songs on this album. Every single song on here I like a lot. This to me is just the weakest of them. It's just the weakest. That's all there is to say about it. Number 11 is Turning Out Part 3. Now, I love the Turning Out trilogy. It's all about writing a love song that's not romantic at all, and very messy, and shows you what it's really kind of like to be in love, I suppose. I love the Turning Out trilogy. I'm putting it here only because I don't really like the way it sounds. Like, it sounds pretty good, just not my favorite. Once again, like I said, I love all the songs on here. I'm not going to keep repeating myself. Number 10 is Inertia. This one gets stuck in my head a lot. Still really like this one. Very good. Just like the other ones above it, better. And number 9 is The Dumb Song. This one's awesome. I love the music video for this one. It's a lot of fun to watch. Yeah, I love The Dumb Song. It's talking about like anxiety and stuff and how you feel dumb and don't really know. Very good song. Number 8 is Yes, I'm a Mess. Once again, as I mentioned, and like my good stuff, I only have like nitpicks about this and how I've kind of heard it. I feel like I've heard it 1,000 times. That's kind of how it feels like. So, putting it here, I feel like it's a pretty good spot. At number 7, we got I Won't. This one's a bop. I like this one a lot. Number 6, we got The DJ Is Crying for Help. One of my favorites by AJR, period. Just, mwah, such an amazing song. Very, very good. Number 5 is Touchy Feely Fool. The first time I heard this one, I wasn't really feeling it. I just wasn't feeling it. I was like, it's good and all. But, like, I really like this one now. This is a very good track. Number 4 is 2085, Love the Message. Now, I'm going to go ahead and tell you what number 3 is, because I'm going to connect it back to number 4. I don't know if I mentioned this yet. Alright, I haven't. So, with number 4 and number 3. Number 3 is the Maybe Man. The actual song Maybe Man. And Maybe Man's, that song is all about, like, well, what if I was this? What if I was that? And I just don't know who I am. I think I do know I talked about that earlier. And I kind of put it, and then 2085 is about, well, eventually we're all going to be in the future. And when it's the year 2085, we're all going to be really old. So don't spend your life trying to do this or trying to do that. Just be you. Have a good time. Have a good, it's a good life, essentially. And I kind of like to put this in a little bit of a category, not category, just connect. Anyway, here's what I mean. Maybe Man's the title track. 2085 is the last track on the album. And in not 25, but Maybe Man, it's kind of like my grandfather used to say, don't go borrowing trouble. So the song Maybe Man is kind of like borrowing trouble and just being afraid and worried. And then 2085, the last track, is like being in the future, the future them, saying, hey, don't worry about it. We're all going to get old one day. And in 2085, we're going to be really old. So we're all just going to be old, and that's how it's going to be. Don't worry. You're not alone in feeling like this, and you're going to be okay. And I just kind of like to make that kind of comparison. I like it as a whole. And that's why I said it's really good to listen to as an album from beginning to end. So, yeah. Number 2 is Steve's Going to London. This song is about writing a song about nothing. It has nothing to do with the lyrics. It has everything to do with the way the song sounds. Because the way the song sounds is just... Mwah. Oh my gosh. Has like this synth maybe thingy. I think they took a violin and pitched it up actually for this like synth bit during like the chorus. And it's like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like smooth on my brain. I don't know how to explain it. There's like very few things in music that are smooth on my brain, and that's one of them. And then number 1, then the best song on this album is God Is Really Real. Now, I could make an entire separate video just breaking down the lyrics to this song, because there's a lot to unpack here. I already told you a little bit about why I love this song, and unless you guys ask me to, I'm not going to break it down here. So yeah, that's the best song on the album. I just love it. It's great. And only thing I don't like about it is the swearing. Yeah, overall, that's the Maybe Man. And I'm going to give this album a solid 8 out of 10. This is a phenomenal album. I hope you all have enjoyed this review. I know I said in the beginning, I'm sorry if I talk too fast. I'm still trying to figure out how to do this, do it right, do it proper. So I'm going to be learning, and you guys are going to be seeing me grow in my figuring out how to review music stuff. So, hope you all have enjoyed it. Once again, The Maybe Man is an 8 out of 10. Have a good rest of your day. Go check out The Maybe Man by AJR. It is out now. God bless, and Jesus loves you.